HD Nation.
This episode of HD Nation is brought to you by KEF. Radiation on. And Patrick, that is not me, from Salt Lake City, writes in, "Hey Texzilla." In episode 223, Robert talks about those older HD receivers with limited HDMI. HDMI, that's how we say that, right?
Yes. High definition multimedia interface.
Older HD receivers with limited HDMI inputs. Is there one with infinite inputs that you're not telling us about? Well, Patrick from Salt Lake City, I'm going to ask Robert Heron now. When are you going to tell us about these infinite HDMI input receivers?
Infinite!
You've been keeping secrets, Heron.
You know, the word limited was perhaps poorly chosen on my part. I will admit that. What am I going to say? There are no infinite HDMI. However, you could daisy chain a bunch of either extenders or repeaters or switches.
Have you seen more than 4 HDMI inputs on a receiver yet?
On a receiver? I want to say there's one with 5. I have the DVDO Edge that has 6.
Okay.
But an AV receiver.
6 is a lot.
You would think one of the $2,500 or uber expensive premium AV receivers probably packs them in there. I would be surprised if it didn't, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Now I've got something to look up tonight. So there's that. What are you holding?
Well, this is a fantastic, well, actually, it's a speaker on a stick. Today's episode is sponsored by KEF, audiophile speakers since 1961s. Oh. This is one of their T301 speakers, 35 millimeters thin. That's like less than 1.5 inches, 1.4 inches. Simple, understated design. I was shocked, actually. KEF's the sponsor of the episode. They sent me some speakers to try out in my home. I'm a big, massive magnets in my speakers kind of guy, and these, frankly, did I mention 35 millimeters? We're listening to Nico Case, Ray Charles, super clean, super crisp, 2 4-inch subwoofers and a 1-inch tweeter inside of this, and punchy, really nice low-end punch. They come with a subwoofer, KEF's T2, which has basically been engineered to work with the whole T-Series. It's a very small box for a self-powered 10-inch sub, 15 by 14.6 by 7 inches, 30 to 250 hertz, which is not bad for a 10-inch subwoofer in a sealed box design. So it doesn't have that hooty sound like recorded subs get. And like I was saying, the speaker I was just holding up, the T301, contains a pair of 4-inch mids and a 1-inch tweeter. The T101s, which are a little bit shorter, have a single 4-inch mid and tweeter. And they come with wall mounts, which I think I have one of them right about here.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right?
A thin speaker gets a thin mount.
It does get a super thin mount. You basically screw this into the wall, and then the speaker hangs off of it. And what's nice about that is what our buddy Lloyd Case used to call the spousal acceptance factor, and you can hang it just like that. All I got to do is figure out where to hide the cords.
In the wall.
Yeah, I got to say.
Does it come with the stand itself too?
The stand is optional. It's extra, and I got to say, it's probably worth the money if you're into sophisticated design, because they've got decent, I don't know if you can see the actual posts. The wire runs inside, and then they screw into the mounts. There's basically 2 tabs that go into the wire mounts on the speaker. So usually one nice solid unit runs the wires down to the floor.
Clean.
Yeah, it's pretty understated. I've seen some shockingly garish home theater speakers over the last couple of years, so it's nice to see something that kind of blends in.
Was this particular kit a 5.1 setup, or was it just 2.1?
5.1.
Nice.
Yeah.
With basically 4 of those? Plus
4 of those, plus the center channel, plus the T2 subwoofer.
Nice.
Yes.
I think you're going to be a happy camper for a little while.
I am an extremely happy camper.
Until they pry it out of your fingers.
Don't take the speakers.
No.
They sound really good. Actually, they really do amazing things with, because a lot of home theater speakers aren't so good at music. And especially, so like I was listening to Ray Charles, What I Say, it's like classic rhythm and blues.
Critical listening.
Fantastic. And actually, they held up pretty well rolling Rage Against the Machine, which is a big plus.
Well, hey, if Patrick has you drooling, good news. KEF is giving away a set of T-Series speakers every month for the rest of the summer. Just follow @KEF_direct on Twitter, and you're entered to win. It's seriously that easy. Along with making Patrick's ears all happy, KEF is sponsoring a series of surround sound segments this summer, so we thought we'd start with the basics, speaker placement. Which brings us to this question from Rich. Hi, Robert. When we built our house, I fought an epic battle with my wife and the interior designer to build a beautiful home theater. You would have been proud. But alas, I lost the battle. Now, 5 years later, I'm stuck trying to shoehorn a home theater into a room with the TV in the corner, i.e. off center. I can place all the speakers in a nice 5-1 layout, but the TV would be some 8 to 10 feet to the right of the center out of the front soundstage. Is this workable? I seem to recall you saying that it was important to have the center channel speaker voices in the same vertical plane with the TV. I can do this, but it will leave the center channel to the right of the front speaker. Am I wasting my time trying to make this work? Well, taking a look at that room, I don't think so.
No.
Speakers,
not at all, actually.
No. And for speakers, basically they're in their intended location for front speakers. We're not sure where to place that center speaker, either under or above, say, a fireplace, but...
Well, it's kind of funny, right? Because you look at that picture, and he went like, okay, there's a fireplace. The fireplace is the center of the room. I got left channel, I got right channel, and then the television is over here. What you need to do is take the right channel and put it to the right of the flat panel.
Totally.
Put the center channel underneath the flat panel. I mean, in some rooms, there's only so much you can do, especially if you're going off center.
You have to, if the display is going to be the center point for the front plane anyway, so you have to have those speakers. They don't have to be equally apart either. You can always play with timings to tweak that, but the speakers have to be, oh, there we go.
Yeah, the one that's not flexible is the center channel needs to be underneath. You know, it's kind of funny. You need the center channel. That was pretty scary. Sorry about that. The center channel needs to be underneath or above the television
itself.
That one's 0 degrees, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at the somewhere on my computer,
set on the top edge of the TV, perfect. Or if it has to, if maybe the TV's not thick enough to do that, put it underneath if you can. But centered to that, that's the one channel I would say keep centered. The other two speakers for the front setup, they could be pretty much, you have a lot of flexibility in terms of where you want to place them. And then you can use the setup with the AVR itself to tweak, say, timing and, what else would you do? Timing and levels.
Let's pull with a modern AV receiver. You can adjust it. Check, I don't know if we can pull the screen up, but if you look at this is the classic Dolby home theater speaker placement and setup guide, right? Basically, they have an equalization. They have a guide that's actually on there, and what it does is it tells you exactly in the perfect room in the perfect world, right? Your two center speakers are at 30, or your center speaker is at 0 degrees in front of the sweet spot, what you like to call the money seat.
Yeah.
The left and right channels are at 30 degrees, and the speaker is turned at 30 degrees towards that spot. So 30 degrees, center, 30 degrees. And what you're doing on that, the subwoofer somewhere near the front, and then 90 to 110 degrees to your right and left is going to be the placement for the subs, and they're all going to be equidistant, right? Your left and right are equidistant. So let's, you know, you think about that most rooms, and this is like a classic example of a room that doesn't work with that. That's where a modern AV receiver comes in, and especially one with Odyssey multi-EQ. You've heard us talk about multi-EQ. That noise you're hearing right now is an acoustical test pattern that is running through my speakers at home. You put a microphone in the money seat, and then it blasts this really weird sound. And then, quote, it evaluates everything that causes distortion, frequency response variations, and reflections that arrive at different times. So what it does is it punches these known quantities, these audio signals over all the channels in the home theater system, your 5.1, your 7.1, and it starts doing math. And then it compensates for distance like Rich is dealing with, or weird room shapes like I'm dealing with, and it'll change the time, the left channel, the right channel, the rear, the surrounds channels. Basically, it'll change the time the channel hits the transducer, the speaker, and the results can be actually shocking. It can make a huge difference if you have a really funky room.
With older receivers that didn't have this kind of technology, you basically take a measuring tape and then measure out the distance on each speaker from the listening position, and that would give you, and you can essentially, the older receivers would allow you to enter that distance information, and that would then provide the timing delay for making all the sounds reach you at the same point or at the same time.
Right.
So that you're not having like, because if you have the speaker put further away than another speaker, then the sounds would reach you at a different point. You have to compensate for that, otherwise you're not getting an immersive audio experience. It's going to sound odd, and
you know, but sound is traveling at like 700 miles per hour, and it's only like 3 feet different. Well, you'd be surprised.
Milliseconds.
You know, and the other thing that's actually surprising is Odyssey multi-EQ. I hate audio processing. I'm the guy that beats people with a stick if they're like, look, I hit a button in my home theater, now sounds like the Carnegie Hall. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It sounds like weird audio processing. The multi-EQ actually sounds really good.
Yeah, because that's the difference between a processing mode versus something that helps you with the setup of your hardware. And if you don't know what you're doing, this is a great way just to get all the basics taken care of right. And these systems like Odyssey EQ are getting better and better with every generation. So take advantage of it while you can.
Cheaper. Denon's, like, I picked up a Denon receiver with multi-EQ built into it for $350. I think it steps up to like $450 or $500 if you want a 7.1 system, but I failed to see the purpose of a 7.1 system at this stage.
Some of the more advanced setups will allow you to move the speaker or the microphone to different positions within the room to do multiple readings, and then it averages all those, or basically it'll widen the sweet spot. So say if you have 3 seats on the couch and you'd like to optimize for all 3, you could do like 3 positions on the couch and then maybe the 3 in front of that, and then boop, magically it all comes together.
And I suspect there's a spousal acceptance factor issue involved in putting the HD TV above the fireplace. We should actually have, we should finally go up to Jay Adelson's house to talk about mounting a HD TV above a fireplace and why you probably want to avoid that.
It can work if you sit far enough away, but I tend to avoid that if all possible.
Or if you have an attic space above or a closet above, you can do one of those really cool HDTV mounts that drops from the ceiling.
Yes.
I have dreams.
It's now time for the new Blu-ray releases for the week of June 14th, 2011. First up, Battle Los Angeles. This 2011 film follows a platoon of Marines who have to defend LA from an alien invasion. This release is available as both a single Blu-ray release or a combo with the DVD version. The standalone release includes a playable demo of the upcoming game Resistance 3, while the combo pack does not. It features an MPEG-4 AVC codec with a 240:1 aspect ratio and a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 soundtrack. Blu-ray.com notes that it is very simple but highly effective in naturally filmic transfer with excellent detail and strong black levels. Extras include a picture-in-picture feature that lets you view storyboards as the film plays, as well as 8 different behind-the-scenes featurettes that total 80 minutes. Next up, Rubber. This film follows a sentient homicidal tire who, well, that's all I really need to say about that. It's a 2010 film directed by Quentin Dupieux, and although it's an English film, you'll get why the tire is named Robert when you say it with the French accent. This release comes on a single 25GB disc with an MPEG-4 AVC codec, a 1.78:1 aspect ratio, and a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 soundtrack. This film was shot entirely on a Canon 5D Mark II, and despite a few shortcomings, Blu-ray.com gives the video quality a 4 out of 5, calling it stunning and impressive. Extras include an 8-minute interview with the director, 3 additional interviews with 3 of the main actors, and a very short camera test with the tire. Also released this week, Boondock Saints Truth and Justice Edition. This film was released on Blu-ray in 2009, and our favorite Blu-ray review sites give it 3 to 4 stars out of 5, although the only extras were 2 commentary tracks, outtakes, deleted scenes, and the script. This new release includes all of the above, plus a digital copy and a new featurette titled The Boondock Saints, The Film and the Phenomena. A quote, all new, never before seen bonus feature that pulls you even deeper into the gritty, action-packed Boondocks world, unquote. The specs are the same as the previous release, and while the packaging labels it as a 10th anniversary, the film actually came out in 1999, so I'll leave it up to you to make the math work out on that one. Hey, and as always, check out our show notes at techzilla.com or hdnation.tv for the rest of this week's Blu-ray releases. Hey, it's time to thank one of today's sponsors, KEF. KEF has been designing and engineering high-end innovative loudspeakers in the UK since 1961, and have now pushed the envelope even further, making it a truly thin loudspeaker. We're talking only 1.4 inches thin. The new T-Series from KEF look incredible and sound even better. And KEF is giving away a set of their T-Series speakers every month for the rest of the summer. Want them? All you have to do is follow them on Twitter and you are entered to win. Seriously, it is that easy. Follow them now at @KEF_direct and be automatically entered to win a T105 full 5.1 home theater system. The speakers have a retail cost of around $1,500. If you're on Twitter, and you probably want to go ahead and start following them right now.
Done.
Okay, again, that's KEF, @KEF_direct, and thank you to KEF and the new T-Series Slim speakers, Sirius Surround TV.